largest city. And we're joined now by Seth Barron. He's a great journalist in New York, and you may have seen him on Fox or read his columns in the City Journal, which is a great website, or the New York Post. He's got a new book out. It's called The Last Days of New York, a reporter's true tale. And it's about Bill de Blasio and what he's done to the city of New York. Seth, thanks for being with us here on the Howie Carr Show.
Tremendous pleasure, Howie.
Would Carlos Danger, a.k.a. Anthony Weiner, would he have been elected if he hadn't gotten into that sexting scandal? Would we have been, meaning all Americans, have been spared this?
Yeah, I think that's actually not a bad supposition. It could well be that he probably would have gotten a lot of the support that went to Bill de Blasio. And if he'd just, kept things together a little bit, we might have been spared the last 8 years.
Yeah, I mean, not that he would have been anything to write home about, but, I mean, de Blasio just has basically no interest in the nuts and bolts of effective governance, does he?
Well, the thing about de Blasio is it's very, people see him as a failure. And that's true. He's been a failure from the perspective of, any New Yorker who wants safe streets or just to live a normal life. But if you're a criminal, if you're a public sector union member, if you're a consultant, or if you're a major developer, well, then Bill de Blasio has been great. He's done everything you wanted him to do. He lets you get out of jail easily. The police don't come after you. If you're in the union, he gives you fat contracts and so forth and so on. And so that's his real constituency. The average New Yorker, no, he hasn't really done a lot for.
But, he can't bear full responsibility for the no bail laws. I mean, that was passed in Albany, wasn't it? I mean, I'm sure he was cheering it on, but I mean, Cuomo has to, and the legislative leadership have to assume some responsibility for that, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, de Blasio is I call him the fruit, flower, and fragrance of the progressive ascendancy. So, but there are many things that he's responsible for, too. He decriminalized a lot of quality of life offenses. He put the NYPD under a federal monitor, which gets to scrutinize all of its procedures. He
did away with the terrorism unit, too, didn't he? That was one of the first things he did.
He got rid of the anti-crime unit. He got rid of what they called the demographic unit, which, yes, looked for terrorists. And there was a terrorist attack under de Blasio. That fellow who ran on a Halloween, who ran over a bunch of people on the West Side Highway.
Right.
De Blasio, you can't blame him entirely, but he certainly has done his share, decriminalizing public urination. I mean, what a disgusting thing to do. Getting rid of qualified immunity so police can now be sued. They're personally liable if somebody doesn't like the way they were arrested. That's on him. Closing Rikers Island, that's on him. But no, absolutely, you're totally right. The city and the state are completely controlled by hard left, so-called progressive Democrats who have codified chaos and essentially made it impossible for the next mayor to rein things in.
Who is going to be the next mayor, by the way? And can you even predict it with this ranked choice voting, which has been such a disaster wherever it's been tried, whether it's California or Maine, it's going to be a disaster, I'm sure, in Alaska as well. We were lucky to stop it here in Massachusetts. Who do you think is the favorite to become the next mayor?
Well, at this point, it does seem like Eric Adams is leading in the polls. He's the Brooklyn Borough president,
right.
And
former cop.
People feel good, former cop, so people feel like maybe he'll do a good job. And given that he's a black man, he won't face the same kinds of racial demagoguery if he cracks down on crime. But he's a very strange fellow. He's been living out of Borough Hall, I think, for the last year. He's an odd duck. The other candidates, nothing too promising. There's this gal, Maya Wiley, who was de Blasio's lawyer. She's atrocious. She's a creation of George Soros.
Oh, God.
Her father founded the National Welfare Rights Organization in the 60s, which was a big, very hard left organization trying to organize welfare recipients as a political force. So that's where she comes out of, and now she's supposedly gaining momentum. So it's not a pretty picture, Howie.
Is there any way any kind of conservative could be elected in New York City, or even in New York State, for that matter?
Well, I can't say that it's impossible, but it's not looking likely. The problem is, as happened up in your state or in Boston with Mayor Curley many years ago, he drove out all the Protestants who wouldn't vote for him.
Right.
And essentially, we've seen the Democrats in New York driving out anyone who can't stand their policies. So a lot of, they've basically elected a new people. And what we're left with are the people who like it. So
right. The difference
it's hard to imagine.
Seth, the difference in Boston being it's gone now, but as the Yankees retreated, they retained control of the police department, the liquor board, and the finances. So they kind of like built in a buffer. There's none of that in New York, though, is there?
The police are still, pretty solid. But yeah, I would say it's true. The entire, I compare it to, what we talked about in Washington over the last 4 years with the deep state. There's a kind of municipal deep state in New York City comprised of the public sector employees. There's numerous nonprofit organizations that get massive funding from the city and the state, which have tremendous power. Academia, the media. This is a huge nexus of power that can influence the way things work. And the bureaucracy. I can't imagine anyone coming in and, fighting back against it very effectively, at least not right now.
We're talking to Seth Barron. His new book is The Last Days of New York, A Reporter's True Tale. De Blasio has talked about running for governor. That's not a realistic possibility, is it, next year?
No, it's an absurdity. He's not very popular in New York City, and he's loathed outside of the city. So, I think he's just playing games and sort of tweaking his former boss, Andrew Cuomo. I mean, they hate each other, so
right.
They're always trying to insult one another.
I remember when he was elected, and he just got into office, and it was the winter, obviously. And the first thing he did was he told there was a snowstorm, and he told the plows not to go onto the Upper East Side to somehow punish the most affluent residents of the city. And I still remember that. Why would he do something like that? Throw down the gauntlet to people. I mean, you have a honeymoon period. You want to be nice to everybody, don't you? What the hell was he thinking of?
Yeah, de Blasio, he doesn't like Manhattan. He hates Manhattan. He's never attended any of the galas or the balls that, the big charity functions. He just really has a lot of scorn for Manhattan. He always says that he doesn't see the central business district of Manhattan as the end of as the center of the universe. No, it's not, sure, but it is the center of New York's revenue.
Right, exactly.
And he has utter scorn for it. I mean, very recently he was imploring people who are upset about things. He said, "Help me redistribute wealth. Help me build affordable housing in white communities." Like, he made this statement. He's a real class and racial warrior, frankly. And he dislikes anybody, the Upper East Side he saw as Bloomberg's area.
But as you said, though, I mean, he's also a friend of the developers. Didn't some parts of Lower Manhattan, weren't there like elderly housing projects or low-income housing projects, and he just let the developers come in and scatter all these people like he was Robert Moses of a new generation.
Kind of, yeah. You know this stuff pretty well. There was a place, a building on the Lower East Side that had a deed restriction. And he allowed in a very complicated way, he allowed the deed restriction to be lifted, and it all benefited James Capolino, who's, essentially this guy who's at the center of development, real estate and politics in New York City for 50 years, a close advisor to de Blasio. That's the thing. These consultants de Blasio allowed consultants to turn City Hall into a ticket window where they could meet their clients, they could essentially write laws. I mean, it was heavy duty, corruption, basically. He managed to skate. I call him the luckiest mayor in the history of New York City.
Yeah, so many of those assemblymen have gone to prison, the state senators, and he's just gotten away with it.
Well, it's funny. New York State has plenty of law enforcement. But if you look at all of the people who've gone to jail, it's all been federal, because at the city and the state levels, they're all in on it. They're all the Democrats. They all have the district attorneys, the attorney generals, the conflict of interest boards. They're all appointed or elected by the same gang. So the only people who can put anyone in jail are the feds. And de Blasio managed to skate.
You think any of the people in Florida are ever coming back to New York City? Last question.
I wouldn't. I don't see why they would.
I wouldn't either. I got a lot of them are my neighbors in Florida, and I don't think they're coming back. Everybody says, they'll come back. I don't think so. I don't see it happening. Seth Barron, I look forward to reading your book, The Last Days of New York, A Reporter's True Tale, and it's just it's a horrible, sad story, but it's a warning to what the Democrats would like to do to the entire country, I think. Seth Barron, The Last Days of New York. Available now. I'm back in New England, and of course, one of the first appointments I had was at Perfect Smiles in Nashua, New Hampshire. I love Florida, but when it comes to my teeth, I wait to come home to the best. Dr. Bruce Houghton. I've said it before, Dr. Houghton is a veneer engineer and a world-class dental artist. I'm not into all these new protocols since the virus, but I have enjoyed a lot of the new procedures that Perfect Smile has put in place. They actually make it easier to go to the dentist and more enjoyable. Many of these new devices put you in a state of total relaxation when you're getting work done on your mouth. If you have put off your dental care for a year, don't wait any longer. So much of your overall health is connected to dental care. If you have problems with your teeth or gums, you're not going to be happy. And the longer you wait, the more painful it's going to be and the more expensive it's going to be to get everything straightened out. That's why you need to make an appointment at Perfect Smiles. From complete reconstructive work to veneers, Perfect Smiles can do it all for you. Getting to Perfect Smiles is easy. It's right off the main drag in Nashua, and parking is plentiful and it's free. I always know I'm in great hands at Perfect Smiles, and that's why I book my appointments way out. Give them a call today at 1-844-A-PERFECT-SMILE and say hello to Dr. Bruce Houghton and Stephanie and Laurie and everybody else who's there. They're all great. You can also see my before and after videos at perfectsmiles.com. Call them today and don't forget to let them know Howie sent you. I'm Howie Carr.
Follow Howie on Twitter @Howie Carr Show. You won't regret it.